West Ham face a crucial fixture in our fight for Premier League survival against Norwich. Saturday, 12:30 p.m. kickoff away from home at Carrow Road. West Ham are looking to turn a corner. We did look like we had turned a corner after picking up 4 points from 2 matches against Chelsea and Newcastle, only for a more substandard defending to condemn us to disappointing 1-0 home defeat by Burnley on Wednesday night. That result provided a reminder that there's still work to be done to avoid relegation, as we just sit 3 points above the bottom 3, obviously after Bournemouth's draw with Tottenham. We're going to be targeting a more important victory over what you could maybe be said a doomed Norwich side whose return to the Championship could be confirmed if they fail to win for a 7th successive league game this weekend. And as we all know, still up steps West Ham
United.
Welcome back to Irons United. My name is Anton, of course. I'm joined by Stel. We have a guest coming on very shortly, and we'll get cracking on with it. Still, Burnley was disappointing, wasn't it, mate? I know we've done a watch along and all that.
Yeah, I kind of reflected on it because we went back in and did a late review on it with Nigel, and the reflection was really that we didn't really play that badly, but we just can't defend for toffee.
No,
and we should have really won that game. Jones just said it on there in the chat. And it was disappointing in that respect that they played well, and when we reflected on it, we played a Burnley team that had kept, including Wednesday's game, 14 clean sheets, which is on par with Man City and only 1 behind Liverpool. So when you go up against a team like that, you need to do something special in order to beat them. And on reflection, it's not that we played badly; it's just that we couldn't finish. And yet again, our defending let us down as usual. As it's been. I can't remember the last clean sheet that we had was 4-0 at home to Bournemouth, which was David Moyes' first game back. And you can't honestly say that it was his tactics that got us that clean sheet.
Yeah.
And ironically, he's renowned for being, a good sort of defensive-minded manager, and yet we haven't kept a clean sheet or since then. And then now up step Norwich, who are going to, if they lose on Saturday, they're down, and that's going to be really dangerous for us. And the fact that we can't keep a clean sheet, it's going to be one of those. You could just see it, can't you? It might end up being one of those games.
It might end up being one of those games. Well, I'll tell you what, brings us into a good time to bring in our guest for the evening. So I'd like to introduce you to Ben Ambrose from Norwich Talk. If you are a Norwich fan, or even if you're a West Ham fan, you want to check out some of his content, make sure you jump over there. Ben, thanks for joining us, mate, on the channel. Norwich City, give us your thoughts. I mean, you went 1-0 up against Watford the other night, and then obviously, things took a bit of a sour turn at the end, but what's been happening this season?
That's a brilliant question. What has been happening this season? I think there's been more progress for Norwich off the pitch, which you won't really see from, say, a West Ham or another club's perspective. But in terms of on the pitch, it's been quite poor, isn't it, as we sit really far at the bottom of the table. I hope you are right in terms of along come West Ham for a Norwich win. It's been quite some time since I've seen one. However, if I was a West Ham fan, I wouldn't be too concerned.
Well, that's encouraging for us, Ben. I don't know if you know what West Ham fans are like. We could be winning.
West Ham friend.
There you go. So if we're winning 3-0 with 2 minutes to go, we're still not sure if we're going to actually end up winning the game.
I know how that feels. Trust me, I know how that feels.
It's happened to us. Brighton at home.
You've shipped a league high of 63 goals this term. I take it that's obviously been the biggest downfall. Obviously, in the other end of the park, you've got 2 players that have scored 17 goals between them. I mean, when you think of that, Cantwell and Pukki with 17 goals, I mean, you've got to look deep down West Ham squad, and probably there's got to be approximately 4 or 5 players that had to contribute that amount of goals. Is there that element of West Ham and Norwich going, if they put the 2 teams together, they would have a reasonable chance at I mean, West Ham ship goals as well, but what is the biggest problem at Norwich this year?
Do you know what? That's a really good question. And I did notice earlier when I was looking into West Ham, because I did my preview on my channel, and I noticed that Pookie, our top goal scorer, has got 11. And I think your top goal scorer is Haller, however you say it. He's got 7. So perhaps if you stick Pookie at West Ham, maybe he'd score a few more. But the thing with Norwich this season is I was very much expecting us to concede a lot of goals. We did that last season. For a long time at Norwich now, we've just conceded a lot of goals. However, last season we would outscore opposition. The main thing that I compared it to in my head and what I thought it would be for Norwich was I thought we'd take the sort of Jurgen Klopp approach and outscore teams. We did that last season as well, but it really hasn't been the case because we just over-relied upon Teemu Pukki, and he's grown tired. He picked up an injury against Leicester earlier in the season. I think he fractured his toe because he put in a really hard challenge on Soyuncu, and this was back in December. And he's just not been the same since, and it has just been somewhat of a bit of a spiral for Norwich. However, I will say now I'm not too concerned, and I'm just sort of used to the Championship at this point.
Yeah, West Ham fans, I mean, I think Pukki probably got quite a lot of his goals come the start of the season, didn't he? I mean, he was banging in goals left, right and centre. Mm-hmm. But on the other end of the park, you are conceding a lot of goals. I mean, for the game against West Ham, I mean, what's your? Have you come to the conclusion that yes, yous are down, and is it trying to say? I mean, where is your head at as a Norwich fan? I want to give it. I want to give you the voice.
That is another good question. I had accepted relegation probably February time because we had a month, and it was December, where if you look at the league table now, if games finished after 45 minutes, we'd be like 4th. So we take the lead in the first half. We did against Wolves, Sheffield United, Arsenal, Tottenham. And then we just fall apart in the second half. And I think that's just sort of a mentality thing where none of our players, bar 2 of them, I think, had played in the Premier League before, which says a lot about how the season's gone. But in terms of conceding goals, I know where they come from. It's quite obvious, which is the fact that, one, we shoot ourselves in the foot trying to play good football. I'd rather us go down in that fashion than sort of like a Chris Hughton whimper, which we did back in 2014, I think it was. But we play really high up the pitch, often leave ourselves exposed. Our fullbacks don't like attackers running at them, which I know will be a problem because I know you've got a couple of good wingers. I think you've got Felipe Anderson, a very good winger. But we just get caught out far too easily, and we cannot deal with crosses or set pieces. I don't know if West Ham use zonal marking. It just really has been so poor for Norwich.
Well, let's give you a little bit of a respite there because our crossing is atrocious.
Yeah,
we can never beat the first player.
That is what I like to hear.
And I think yes, we will run at you. I agree, but when it comes to crossing the ball in the box, we're pretty poor at that. We have been all season. So your defenders might have a little bit of respite tomorrow from that.
Ben, I'm not sure if you also know of the stat that West Ham have really haven't won a game at Carrow Road. I think it's in the league for 19 attempts. So there's obviously it's obviously a bogey stadium for West Ham as well. As a Norwich fan looking in at West Ham, I know we're passionate about the clubs we support. What do you view it as? The situation West Ham are in?
It's a really peculiar one to me because Slavan Bilic sort of he did really well at Upton Park, didn't he? And then you moved to the Olympic Stadium or whether it's the London Stadium, and it just sort of went downhill from there. I remember Payet kicking up a fuss, and this hero for you had suddenly become an enemy. And just watching West Ham has been really interesting. I don't know how you've survived relegation for so long because from the outside it seems like you've sort of been tinkering for a long time, and then you reappointed David Moyes after Pellegrini, who I thought was going to sort of revolutionise West Ham because he's got such a good CV. And then you appointed David Moyes again, and I was scratching my head like, what is going on here? But you look at your sort of recent results from the outside. You beat Chelsea, watched that game, and that was a really hearty performance. I know VAR tried to sort of stuff you over, but you managed to bounce back from that, as well as a point against Newcastle, who are doing quite well. And then the loss against Burnley has excited me a little bit because I said on my channel, if you beat Burnley, I fear West Ham. However, I'm sort of hoping that the players' tails might be a little bit between their legs, and their confidence might be a bit shaken. But from the outside, it's been a roller coaster to watch, and fair play for staying in the Premier League for so long.
Yeah.
We would have. Sorry, go on, mate.
I'm just going to say it's probably a really, really, really strong, great assessment from an external point of view in West Ham. You've kind of pretty much hit the nail on the head. I can't really add anything else to it, to be honest. But you mentioned there about West Ham playing Burnley. Playing. We all know the style of football that Burnley like to play. They're a well-drilled side. They are defensively strong. They've had 13 prior to the West Ham game, now 14 clean sheets for the season. And the thing is, this is what's interesting. A question I'm going to ask you about Norwich City in a second is, we all know that Burnley basically want teams to come on the counter-attack and fire long balls in, because all day they're going to sweep that up left, right and centre. And West Ham fed Burnley exactly what they wanted. Now, you've mentioned there that Norwich City like to play good football, but how do they set up against sides like, say, West Ham? I mean, how did they set up against... Will they set up similar to how they set up against Watford?
Do you know what? Throughout the beginning of the season and sort of until lockdown, really, we had a system which was a 4-2-3-1, and it was meant to be liquid, but it wasn't. And since the restart of football, Daniel Farke has sort of tinkered with different formations, which is very unusual for him, and sort of general systems, because he's very stubborn. Us Norwich fans know how incredibly stubborn he is, which at times has paid off. However, in terms of setting up for the West Ham game, I really don't know. There's been such friction between Daniel Farke and the supporters. I say a lot of friction. There's been a little bit in regards to the fact that he's still very well supported, but the lineups he'd been putting out, we'd been sort of scratching our heads at. However, the last lineup against Watford was probably our strongest in terms of the fact that it was the most familiar to last season. I expect that to be the same one against West Ham. So players like Pukki Buendia, Onel Hernandez, probably Marco Stevenman will all play against you guys. In terms of the actual game itself, I don't know how it will go, because Norwich have been diabolical since the restart, so I couldn't possibly tell you.
So it's really interesting, Ben, because you're saying about the fans getting frustrated with the manager and his team selection, because it's not too dissimilar to West Ham fans. We all think we're managers, don't we? We all think we know the best starting 11, and we kind of had a similar situation with David Moyes, where he's played teams, he's put the first 11 out, and we've kind of questioned, why has he done that? Why is he not being a bit more attack minded or things like that? And for most of the games, we kind of feel like we've vindicted ourselves in the fact that we think we know better than the manager. And then he turned it around and he's put a couple of teams out where we've had really good performances because we've been more on the front foot. And I think that's where if West Ham are going to hurt Norwich tomorrow, it's going to all depend on what David Moyes does in the midfield, whether he packs it out or whether he decides to sort of have more support up front. And I think, if we give you guys that sort of packed midfield, we might kind of be asking for you to come on to us rather than the other way round. And I don't know if that's the sort of game that would suit you or not, because it seems to be Moyes' tactic to hit on the break as well.
Norwich do struggle against the break. That's where we've gone sort of where we've struggled this season, to be honest with you. I think Sheffield United, when we played them, we've played them twice, and they just hit us on the break, and it really hurt us, and it has done this season against a lot of teams. I really do think this game will be won in the midfield, to be honest with you, which is a bit of a cliche to say, I know. But you look at Norwich's team, I don't know how familiar you guys are with it, but we've got players like Mario Vrancic who haven't really featured much, and we're expecting to feature for the rest of the season. And we really like the ball there, because we love to just knock it round. We love the short passes, and we love sort of Timu Pukki's intelligence up front in terms of making a run. That's sort of how we score our goals. We're not a team who sort of bolt down the line and stick a cross in because we can't facilitate it. In terms of this game, if I was David Moyes, I'd set you up with just wingers and wingers because all you've got to do is run at our defenders, cross the ball, and you've scored a goal. However, I think you've already said that that's not really your style, or you're just not very good at it. But yeah,
we're just not very good at it.
I think our problem is we're not very good at looking at the opposition and hitting them where they're at their weakest point. And if anything, we try and hit them at their strength. And that's where we go wrong every single game, isn't it really, Still?
I would agree, yeah.
But, I think, is it Cantwell, he's back from injury, isn't he? I mean, I don't know how long he was missing for. Is that a big boost for you? Is he going to make the game?
Do you know what? Cantwell's an interesting one, because I will say this now. I know this wasn't really the question, but last season he had nothing to do with Norwich. He was a fringe player. And this season he's come in and everyone's looking at him as this sort of young English prospect, which he is. But I do want to sort of reassure people that he isn't. I don't think he's ready to leave Norwich City yet. I think he will, because he's English, and every English player who any team produces has to be snapped up by some big team like Chelsea or Man City. But I think it'll be a sort of a boost. I think Daniel Farke said today that he'll probably miss the West Ham game because I think it was a strain he had, and he doesn't want to rush him back. I think he was gone for a game, which was against Watford, which arguably I don't think any of the Norwich fans would have started him for. But he's, as you said earlier, he's been a big part of our goal scoring. So I think any player back at this point will be a boost for us, to be honest with you.
To be honest with you, when it comes to Cantwell, I mean, out with what they all say, like you follow a lot of the pundits, etc. When you watch his style of play, I think he's an extremely over the top, clever footballer. He can find a pass, no problem. He's in the right place at the right time. I mean, I think he's chipped in with 6 goals for you this season, 2 assists. But like you said, though, like he's playing right now in a side that's struggling on the wrong side of the table. And that's potentially why you could be looking at him getting snapped up. Listen, I'm not saying anything about West Ham players, because there's lots of West Ham players that are going to get snapped up this summer as well. We're in a similar situation. But Cantwell, as a player, as a West Ham fan, hearing that he's not going to be available for the game tomorrow, gives me a boost of confidence, because I don't think our defence, which is one of our weakest points, could cope with the quality that he could offer, especially when you've got a player on the end of those balls in Pukki who can put the ball in the back of the net. And if anything, that would have probably given you a boost and a bit of confidence. But it's going to be a weird game tomorrow, though, isn't it? I mean, you as a Norwich fan, you're kind of sitting there going, you expected relegation. You've kind of accepted relegation back in February, but are there players there that are going to try and prove a point, want to prove a point? Have you taken the foot off the gas?
I'd say we have, but not on purpose, because I just think Norwich's issue this season is we've just not been good enough. We've got a lot of players. We brought a lot of players in 2-3 years ago who've been here a while from the lower tiers in Germany. These players who sort of had to prove themselves, and they've just not been good enough this season, which isn't it's not a bad thing. It's just a learning curve. But in terms of the game tomorrow, it's going to be a weird one. Yeah, I definitely agree. But I'm slightly optimistic for a win for Norwich, which sort of goes against everything that I'm saying. But I am feeling optimistic because I think Norwich will just go for it. Now, how that will look, I could not tell you. I don't think Daniel Farke could tell you. It's going to be a bit of a gamble. But yeah, it will be a weird one. That's what I kept saying on my preview for this. It's just going to, I honestly don't know what to expect. Hopefully 3 points, but I just don't know.
Yeah, I think that's why I think you could be dangerous tomorrow, because you guys have got to go for it. There is no ifs or buts about it, because if you do lose tomorrow, as you said, you do go down, and that would kind of make it quite dangerous for West Ham. And we're gonna, I mean, what we've done in the game since we've been back from lockdown is the team have absorbed an awful lot of pressure from most of the teams that we played. Burnley was probably the exception to the rule, but the other games that we played was very much about having to absorb quite a lot of pressure. Even against Chelsea that we won, we spent a lot of time defending and looking to hit on the counter. And it's going to be interesting for us as well to see what team David Moyes puts out, because you could see that there was sort of fatigue. Ironically, there was fatigue setting in already in the game against Burnley. It was quite difficult to sort of to get through them, and that can be quite tiring when you've got quite a lot of. Well, we had 53 odd possession of the ball, but we couldn't break them down. And Moyes implied that we were fatigued, and it's really going to be intriguing to see how we set up against you guys tomorrow, because I feel that that's what you are going to do. You're going to go for it. You're going to just go for it because you've really got nothing to lose. But have we got the strength and the mental capacity to make take advantage of that? So it is going to be quite intriguing. Completely.
I think this is another comment that's just come in, and I know we all kind of smirked when we seen it. So the best way to score is down the wings, so therefore Moyes will play the players down the middle then. And that's a prime example of typical West Ham, to be honest, Ben. And that is, and I genuinely mean that. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you see ball playing midfielders through the middle coming on tomorrow. And it's really interesting to hear your insight into it, saying, if you really want to get something against us, ping the balls out to our wingers and get them crossing it into the big men in, who will hopefully do something. We'll probably see the total opposite. Listen, you've got players like, is it Grant Hanley, Sam Byram? Of course, West Ham know him. Zimmerman, Leitner, they're all going to be ruled out again for tomorrow.
Yeah, their seasons are finished.
Yeah, their seasons are done. So Estelle, you've got anything to add before we do a little prediction before Ben?
I think there's just one player that I'd like Ben's sort of take on, and that's Buendia. what do you make of him? Is he going to have an influence in the game tomorrow? Because he's a player that's, he's assisted in 6 goals this season already. How would we cope with him? How would you rate him?
You've got to frustrate him because, honestly, if Buendia's at the top of his game tomorrow, he's one of the best in the Premier League. I think he's created 76 chances, which is behind players like Kevin De Bruyne and Trent, which is just ridiculous. If we'd have scored half of them, we wouldn't be in the relegation zone. But Emi Buendia, for me, is probably, in my lifetime at least, the best technical player, the best player I've seen play for Norwich. He is ridiculously good, but it's very easy to stop him in that you just need to frustrate him because he's got that South American sort of flair, but also that temper. And teams in the Championship targeted him, and it worked towards the end of last season on QPR's sort of behalf in terms of the fact that they just hounded him, and eventually he snapped and got sent off. So as soon as his sort of attitude shifts from positive to negative, that's when you've won the battle. However, he got his first goal of the season against Watford, yesterday, last game, which was a really well taken goal. And if he's up for it, then your fullbacks, I think, who is it, Masuaku or Cresswell down the left, will have a real handful.
Either of them will. Doesn't matter. Even if your granny in a wheelchair is playing, they're probably likely to have a problem with with anyone. Sorry, Cresswell, and sorry, Masuaku, but
I don't like Aaron Cresswell. He used to play for Ipswich. Long-term Ipswich player.
Who would from the players we've spoken about tonight, and particularly for Norwich, before you go, Ben, I mean, who would be your Norwich player for West Ham to watch out on in particular tomorrow?
Buendia. Ono Hernandez down the left. You talked a lot about Todd Cantwell and being relieved that he's not playing, but I wouldn't have started him for this game. I'd have started Ono Hernandez, who is what Norwich have been lacking, which is a very pacey winger. Now, I wouldn't be too fearful of his end product. He couldn't hit a barn door to save his life, but he sort of has that integral play where he just gets the ball and he runs at defenders. And I'm not sure who your right back is, but he will again have a handful. Fredericks is very quick, but I would put money on Hernandez being quicker. But yeah, I'd look out for him. I think Pukki, as soon as he sort of breaks his goal drought, because he's not scored for a long time, as soon as he breaks that, then I'd be fearful. But it would be Buendia because he is top class.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good, excellent. Well, listen, before we do predictions, just to run down Norwich's season, they've played 34 games. They've won 5. They've lost 23. They've scored 26. They've conceded 63 with 5 clean sheets.
Thank you for reminding me of that.
Sorry. It's always something we always do in the preview, just give people a rundown of the recent stats.
Our stats are almost as bad, so don't worry.
Mate, you're not here for the West Ham one, so don't worry about that one. Ben, what's your prediction for tomorrow?
3-1 Norwich. And when it happens, they'll call me a genius, but when it doesn't happen, they'll laugh at me again.
Ben, listen, mate, thank you so much for joining us. Myself and Stella are obviously going to stay on and talk about West Ham, so we don't have to keep you listening to all our rambling, etc. So, Ben, thanks very much for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you again next season. We'll maybe do something else again in the future.
Fingers crossed. Cheers, gents.
Good for that.
Thank you. Cheers,
bye-bye. So yeah, thanks for Ben for joining us. Make sure you check out. We'll get all the stuff on the and all the information and all that stuff below. So that was interesting. Still good to get an insider's point of view on
it's intriguing, isn't it, that because we kind of live in a bubble, don't we, in a West Ham bubble, when we talk about West Ham, and we think we're the only team with problems and issues and managerial team selections that don't quite make sense, and etc. And then you talk to fans of other teams and you think, actually, you know what, it's no different. It's no different at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, intriguing.
Got that Buendina coming on there. I mean, he sounds like an exciting player. Potentially might not be there for the next season. Probably won't be.
I think they're going to have the same problem as if we go down. We know that a number of players will walk, and it looks like Norwich will end up having the same problem again as well. Sorry, like Buendia, Cantwell, Pukki. Someone in the Premier League will snap up Pukki. I'd take him. If they go down tomorrow and we're looking for a striker, why not? What's he scored? 11 goals in a poor team this season. And with the chances that we've been making, I mean, I think we've got to remember, despite losing the last game, our number of opportunities, our number of chances, shots on target has improved. It has been steadily improving.
Well,
but we need someone that can put the ball away.
What's interesting, Stella, is the three players in particular we've spoke about with Pukki, Cantwell, Buendia have actually been involved in, I'm just counting, 30 of Norwich's Premier League goals between goals and assists.
Yeah.
So there's three players there that have such
Buendia 7 assists, Pukki 3, Cantwell 3, goal scorers, Cantwell 6, Pukki 11. So yeah, they are the main players for them, aren't they? Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
Huge amount of talent there with the front three. So, potentially it was interesting to see what he said about not having Cantwell there, and he would have been interested. He wouldn't have started him. So, yeah, there's a couple of players.
And it's interesting. He's one of the players I think we would have been worried about. And a Norwich fan is saying it's probably a good thing that he won't start because it will force that team to play maybe in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. Still, let's go on to our beloved West Ham. It's that time of the day again. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We know there's lots of comments in there. Make sure you get the comments in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Tomorrow, we're going to come to you again with something similar, a match day live. Team News joined in with the watch along. And then I think we're going to do a separate review. I think, aren't we, Still? I think myself and Still just realised we were on speaking a lot.
4 hours. Yeah.
So we're going to take a little break
and then come back again because we know you love us coming on talking absolute nonsense. So there you go.
Absolutely. So yeah, make sure you join us. We travelled to Carrow Road where we've not had a victory for I don't know how many years.
I didn't realise that. It's funny because when it was coming up, when Mick was saying that in the chat, I was frantically looking at our past results, and the last one I saw was a 2-1 FA Cup win in 2006.
Yeah.
So, and so the league win, I think Mick again said it was when Robson scored, and when was that? Whatever year. So, yeah, it's unbelievable.
It's actually 17 home league games versus West Ham, with their last defeat against West Ham on February 1973.
Wow.
So yeah, interesting. But I mean, West Ham are undefeated in 4 fixtures against Norwich, 1-2, drew 2, and obviously we won the reverse fixture 2-0. 8 of the last 13 league encounters have ended in draws. Still, and West Ham have never won in 11 of the previous Premier League encounters between the sides. So West Ham, it was interesting to find out that
you just know where this is going to go, don't you?
Yeah, tomorrow. Well, do you know what? We're going to try my best to remain positive, but what we want to do is bring to you just as much history, as much match facts that we know, player histories, all that sort of stuff. So bear with us. We will come to some form of positivity. Moyes set up against Burnley wrong. I saw some arguments that were reasonably valid for the case that Mark Noble potentially...
No, that's not what was wrong.
No. Wait, there were some arguments made to state that the style of play that West Ham should have gone in against Burnley would have played to Mark Noble's strengths. Now, interestingly enough, do we have that strength and that ability to attack those wings and get the balls in, considering that's their weak points?
I think that we were all crying out for Yarmolenko to start, and he did. And for me,
playing in the wrong position.
Exactly what I was going to say. We were all crying out for him to start, and he was played, because we know he can play through the middle, and Bowen should have stayed out on the right, who would have probably caused more damage to Burnley, and Fornal's out on the left, and Yarmolenko should have gone through the middle. And that he got the right team with the wrong formation, and I think that was the that was the disappointing thing, because as soon as I saw Bowen out on the left side, I thought I've not seen him play in that position, and I'm sure he may have done in his career, but it kind of and then I was looking at the way he was playing, and I was thinking it's not suiting him. It's not doing him well. And I know it was changed later, etc. But It wasn't it for me. I'll look up the stats in a minute as to how many shots we had on target, etc. But we ironically we played against a very, very good defence. And and as I said earlier, had we had someone that could put the bloody ball away, yeah, I know it's not obvious, but we would have won that game. But we played against a defence that has had 14 clean sheets in this league,
shots.
21 shots. So so it wasn't that we weren't creating the chances; we just weren't putting them away. But when you play against a team with 14 clean sheets, and as I said at the beginning of the show, that's only one behind Liverpool and on par with Man City, first and second place in the Premier League, it's going to be difficult. So would it have been a Noble type game? No, because I think we wouldn't have had as many. There's no disrespect to Noble. Don't get me wrong. I'm not bashing Noble. I'm just suggesting that, the way we played wasn't bad. It's just that, I think we would have been even more. I think we would have been even better if Bowen had started out on the right, as he usually does. So no, I kind of disagree with that. I don't think it was a Noble type of game, but damn well Noble's going to start tomorrow, and I'm not sure if tomorrow is a Noble type of game, because tomorrow we got to go for it. And as much as Norwich have to, we've got to be ready to counter-attack fast. And with the greatest respect to Mark Noble, if we're going to look to hit them on the break, that's not a Noble type of game, because he needs time on the ball. He needs to look what he's doing, etc., etc. And I disagree. And it's not Noble for me. Tomorrow should come on with, say, half an hour to go, or half time or something like that.
Still, it's a stark reminder when you see Bournemouth potentially nearly walking away with 3 points yesterday. A blessing that, for us last night, we're so glad that VAR existed last night, even though we're not happy it exists most of the time, 9 times out of 10. And now West Ham find themselves 3 points from safety and lost that momentum that we had worked hard to build up coming off the defeats against Tottenham and Wolves. But when you look at West Ham's stats in comparison to Norwich, you're sitting here and you're saying they've conceded 63 goals. Still, we've conceded 59 goals this season.
Yeah, we're no better.
Norwich have lost 23 games. We've lost 19 games.
Yeah. We are. That's why it's going to be. An interesting game tomorrow, because we're not done and dusted. Everyone's going, oh well, they're bottom of the league, this is an easy one, we're going to win this easy. We ain't going to win this easy, because Norwich, we've both got something to play for, but Norwich are literally, it's almost their last chance saloon. If they don't win, a draw is not even enough for them. If they don't win tomorrow, they're just about done and dusted, aren't they? And we've got this almost smacks of a draw tomorrow for me, and I don't think that's enough for us. I think if we draw tomorrow, and one of the teams below us has a win, we're like back right down there again. And then we got Watford and tricky team, and Man U, who are on bloody fire at the moment. Yeah. Trust them to sort of hit some form all of a sudden. Yeah. And we need it. I know I'm stating the bleeding obvious, but we need it as much as they do tomorrow. And and it's going to be. That's why I'm worried about Moyes' team selection. I've got a feeling Noble will be back in the team. I've got a feeling that we're going to play one up front again. And if we do, and for me, Allaire, I know, he's only had half an hour back on the pitch, etc. But for me tomorrow, I think, if we're going to make a change, I think possibly there'll be, I'd make possibly 2 changes. One of them being Allaire playing for, say, Yarmolenko, and I know I'm going to be laughed at again, but I take Fornals out and I put Wiltshire in, and see what he can do and play closer to Allaire, and actually, considering what Ben has said, play Antonio out wide with Bowen out on the other wing as well, and run at their defenders, and see what we can do. But I just feel that isn't going to happen, and I'm probably wrong. I keep going on about Wiltshire, and I know it sounds rather stupid, but I feel that player has got a win in him.
There's quite a lot of people in the chat that's kind of agreeing with you. Still, we'll come over the chat in a minute.
All right.
Let me throw a number at you: 24. What's vital about this number?
24.
West Ham have dropped a league high.
Oh yes, in a
24
leading
points
position
from winning
Yeah.
positions.
Yeah.
How does that show the inept tactician that Moyes should be, or is that just one of those stats that's, you know, nothing to blame on Moyes? Could you take that as, you know, West Ham are in winning positions and we don't change things, we don't protect leads, we don't, you know?
You could say that. I mean, you know, Moyes. Everyone's talking about Moyes got to be given a chance, and it's not his team. And but you know what? He's had this team now for how many games? And if he hasn't worked out by now how to tactically approach a game, the irony is he's got it right for 5 games for me in all the games that he's been in charge of. Liverpool, Southampton, and Arsenal just before lockdown, and then Chelsea and potentially Newcastle. I think we were on. You know, we shouldn't have given goals away so easily. But for me, those are the games where I looked at West Ham and thought, do you know what? That they were decent displays. We were all right. And if we'd been playing for half of those games in the season, we wouldn't be in the position that we're in now. So that has got to be Moyes as well. You've got to give Moyes credit where credit's due, because he set us up in a way where, you know, we were dangerous when we were on the attack. But then he does things like he did against Burnley, and like I said, he puts the right team out, but puts the players in the wrong positions, and you then you do question his tactics, and you go, well, what made you decide that Bowen, who's assisted in 4 goals, had to go out and play on the other wing? You know, what was the logic in that? You know, and that's the sort of thing that confuses me with David Moyes. You know, Bowen has been his most effective out on the right, assisted in 4 goals since we've been back, and then he decides to put him out on the left side. You know, and he's ineffective, and those are the sort of tactics I question. You know, what is he doing what is he seeing that we're not? None the rest of us aren't. You know.
Still, 3 of the last 4 games that West Ham play are against sides that are below us. So we're in a real relegation dogfight. There's no ifs or buts about it. Is tomorrow's game a good opportunity for West Ham to, you know, see the difference and potentially look at maybe putting 5 at the back?
No, because it means Masuaku plays.
Well, well, here we go. You know, there's madness in the thoughts here.
There's madness, full stop.
Yeah, but you know, when you listen to a Norwich fan that says that we cannot cope with down the wings at all, you know, then if Norwich fans are seeing that, and that is, you know, I've watched them a couple of times and it's blatantly obvious that they can't, is that something that West Ham need to look at?
No, I tell you, okay. If you want to play Masuaku, then play him where he's least dangerous, and that is as a left midfielder. If you want to go at their attack, Masuaku's fast. His end product is absolutely atrocious. I still do not get what West Ham fans think Masuaku does that's so great. But if you want to run at their defence, then play him out on the left. Well, I know I get into one when I talk about Masuaku. I can't help it. I think the player is average at best, you know. But if you want to play him somewhere, play him at left midfield, you know, because it hasn't worked. Kind of hasn't really worked with Fornals or Lanzini being out there. For me, it would be Antonio all day long. You know, with that strength that he has, just to run down that left side and Bowen down on the right side. But then you take something away from what Antonio has been doing in the middle of the park, you know, and he's been excellent, you know, up front on his own.
Listen, if you're watching us, make sure you come back to us tomorrow. Tune in. A good solid hour before the game. We're going to be coming to you with lots of guests, good banter, good laugh, etc. So please make sure you tune in. You know, there's a mixture of comments here.
Should we look at some?
Yeah,
I'll rant all night otherwise.
Wait. We'll come back to them. Definitely, we'll definitely.
All right.
You know, Antonio, he's been directly involved in 5 goals of the last 7 league appearances, scoring 3 and assisting 2. But there's so much pressure on this guy. This out-and-out striker who is doing everything he can. I mean, really, to be honest, still, everything since his whole career at West Ham, that's what he's done. We've relied on this guy heavily. And to be fair, he's paid us back in
abundance.
In abundance, 100%. And you
Yeah.
always feel a little bit. You do. I actually do feel sorry for a player like Antonio, because if I think there's a lot of mismanagement when it comes to West Ham managers and players, and we've had so many players on our books that have now left that we've never managed properly. And you've got the loyalty of Antonio. You know, he's found himself a really strong career at a high level, in a high-level league, and he's making something of himself. And I can see him being a long-lasting West Ham player, continuing to do what he does. But you do feel like if he was supported a little bit more, that he would be thriving even further. And
there's only one thing. He's got a lot of heart. He plays with his heart on his sleeve. He's, he scored 30 goals for us in his career at West Ham. So. And he scored some great goals, hasn't he? You know, last season at the Boleyn, the headers that he got there and stuff like that. And for me, the one thing that's lacking in Antonio is his touch. It's funny because I think earlier in the season, one of the guys that was watching said he's the best shittest player we've got. In the sense that if he had the touch of I don't know, whoever, one of our, a great player. If he had a better touch, imagine what sort of player he would be. Because we actually, I love him, I respect him. I did think, a couple of seasons back that I thought he wasn't good enough for West Ham. And I thought, he went on a dip, and you could be right. It's probably because of the way he was being managed and so on. But you got to love Antonio because he plays with his heart on his sleeve. But if only he had a decent first touch, I mean, the shot against Burnley after they scored, he got it, and I don't know what he was trying to do, but he almost as if he swung at it, and it hit the outside of the post. And it's just those little things with Antonio. What a brilliant player. He's a great player. He's a decent player, but what a brilliant player he'd be if he actually had a really decent first touch.
Oh, unbelievable. Listen, make sure you get in and let us know your comments and your starting 11. We're going to run through, maybe we won't do every single individual player unless we think there's going to be a few drastic changes. But
I'm anticipating them. Yeah.
I was just going to say, still, if I'm being brutally honest, I do see some changes being made, and probably reasonably drastic ones as well. So shall we go with a guess on formation?
It'll be a 4-5-1, and it should be a 4-4-2, but it'll be a 4-5-1. The obvious Fabianski in goal. I think Fredericks will start. Oh, back four line. The back five won't change. Fredericks, Ogbonna, Diop, Creswell. Even though Creswell was piss poor in that defending against Burnley for their goal, because it was awful defending.
West Ham have a history of, I suppose, when Creswell has a really, really, really bad game in particular, that there's a strong possibility he does get dropped the next game. And Moyes has got a history of doing that. And especially, like I've said, I'm not making the argument, I'm not doing it, I'm just saying, or maybe I am making the argument, that would you be surprised if you saw Masuaku tomorrow?
Extremely.
Let us know your thoughts. Everyone, would you play
for the obvious reason, mate? For the obvious reason.
Would you play a straight back four? Would you put five in the back line? I'm not so sure on Stell's optimism. I mean, listen, Stell, what I will say to you is, last week when we done the preview, I think you were predicting a certain change that was going to get made, and I felt like Yarmolenko was going to start, and I got that prediction right. So my prediction is Masuaku may start the game tomorrow.
We're going to be in trouble defensively if he starts tomorrow. I mean, we already are. We can't buy a clean sheet, can we? Yeah. And then we bring Masuaku on. I mean, we're asking for it, aren't we? But there you go.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, Creswell has been poor. I'm getting some feedback on here. I don't know if it's...
No, I can't hear it.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's just me. No worries. Yeah, I agree. Creswell's been poor. Then why not put Johnson as left back?
Yeah.
Well,
listen, I mean, what other changes do you potentially see happening?
I think he'll play Noble tomorrow. I think Noble will start. I don't think it's right, but I think Noble will start tomorrow, and I actually think Allaire will start tomorrow as well. So you could see, if we include the left back, you could see possibly 3 changes tomorrow to the team that started. And I think if that's the case, if I go with your Masuaku prediction, which I just can't, but if I do, then that's one change. I think Fornals will be dropped for Noble, and I think Allaire will start for Yarmolenko.
Yeah.
And of those 3, I would agree with one.
What do we think Moyes will do? 4-4-2. Sorry, the same lineup against Burnley.
No. I think Moyes will bring Noble in, and I think Moyes will bring Allaire in.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I would do the same. No. I would do the Allaire, but I wouldn't do the Noble change.
Yeah.
Like I said, why not try? Why not try Wiltshire? Why not give him a start and see what happens?
There's obviously something not 100% there, or confidence. I don't know what it is. You've not seen much of him come off the bench either. There's been definitely opportunities for Moyes to be able to do it. Listen, when it comes to team selection and formation, I out with all this formation stuff, for me it should be 4-4-2, and it should be a straight out supporting element. Haller, Antonio, Bowen on the wing, firing the balls into these guys, balls coming over the top, Antonio holding up the play, him and Haller playing off of each other, with Souček giving them that supporting role, because that's exactly what he is designed to do. Yep. So there's an argument for both things, but I think when it comes to a game like this, when the game is there to be taken, Norwich have got, in theory, no pressure on their shoulders. West Ham have more pressure on their shoulders, but we should probably play like we don't have the pressures on our shoulders and turn up and just go for the win, rather than trying to protect, say, the 1-0 lead. Both teams concede.
Yeah.
Both teams don't score a lot. So therefore, and there's a lot of draws in the history.
If we actually play anything near as the type of game we played in the last 2-3 games, we should win this easily. If Moyes decides to sit back and allow Norwich to come at us, given what Ben has said to us, that they got some pacey wingers, Buendia, etc., then we could be asking for trouble. We need to take the game to them. And I agree with you. I agree we should play a 4-4-2 tomorrow. I think we've got enough with the likes of Bowen, Souček, if Allaire plays, Antonio, etc. We've got enough there to be able to knock in a couple of goals against them tomorrow. But my fear is he will play Noble, and he will play one up front, and we'll be kind of sitting back and hoping to hit them on break. I think we should just go for it tomorrow. Yeah, I really do.
Couldn't agree with you anymore. What we're gonna do is ask you all for your predictions for the game tomorrow before myself and Stell give you our predictions for the game tomorrow. Like I said, make sure you tune in. I think we're going live about 11:15 to give you match day live. We'll have a bit of banter, a good bit of laugh, etc. Make sure you do come in and listen. We know as long as me and the guys who are on the show are in sync with the channel, we just bring to you a bit of a laugh. So it's even worthwhile having on in the background just for a bit of banter. There are some comments coming in as well. You've picked up on one there, Still?
Yeah, ball control, passing and shots were the best I've seen from us in a long time in the last game. If we bring that, we should be okay tomorrow. So, I think people agree that we are seeing some decent football. We just need to be positive tomorrow.
Still, if the same West Ham side turns up, right, and we, attack the goal with 20 attempts at goal, do you think they've learnt their lesson and are going to put some of them away and we'll walk away with the victory? If the same West Ham with the same attitude and the same style of play turns up that we did against Burnley, will West Ham walk away with 3 points against Norwich?
Yes, undoubtedly.
Yeah.
But if he mucks around with the team tomorrow and decides to be a little bit, sort of reserved and plays too many midfielders and not enough, and not enough support up front, then we're asking for it. We're inviting them on, and like you kind of said, they don't have much to play for tomorrow. Well, they do. Premier League survival, and there's nothing that's going to stop them. And I bet that's what the manager's going to instill in them. He's going to say, "Go for it." He said, "It's your last chance," and I fully expect them to come at us tomorrow because they've got no choice.
Yeah.
Like I said, they can't afford to even draw. They need to go out there and win. If they draw, they won't necessarily go down tomorrow, but it's not going to do them any favors. So I'm expecting the Norwich team to sort of come full throttle tomorrow, and really sort of have a go at us. And we've got to be as positive going forward. We've got to be the same. We cannot sit back and do what Moyes likes to do and absorb so much pressure. Imagine if we went 1-0 down, their tails are up, and we start getting panicky, and we've seen it already that Moyes doesn't change. He doesn't put subs on to do a tactical change. He'll change like for like, so he'll bring Fornals off and put Lanzini on rather than going, right, I need something different or whatever, and so that's my fear, that if we sit back, take it, and if they score, that their tails are up. He'll go, oh, right, well, it's only 1-0, so we'll just plod on. He needs to be quite. He needs to go for it tomorrow. Obviously, not open ourselves up completely, obviously, but he needs to go for it tomorrow, in my mind.
Comments coming in. We'll give you our predictions in a minute. Hi, Anjanette. Hope you're well. Hi, Ian. Thank you very much again for tuning in. There's people chatting about what drinks they're going to drink for the game tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to drink during the day for tomorrow, just because I've got a busy day tomorrow after the game, so that won't be my day. But we'll make sure we make up for
rum, banana, pineapple. Well, it should be spice rum, but dark rum will do.
Yeah. If we play like we did against Burnley tomorrow at Norwich, we should win.
Because we didn't play badly against Burnley. We just didn't put the ball in the net. But we didn't play badly.
Haller, Wilshere and Yarmolenko to start. Listen,
interesting.
But I would take, do you know what? Forward thinking. Oh, I don't know. Nobody really knows what's going to happen here. Still, while I'm getting more comments up, give us your predictions. 12:30 kickoff tomorrow. West Ham travel to Carrow Road in need of a really good victory to try and put some form of stamp on safety in the Premier League. What is your prediction?
I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna say 3-1 tomorrow, because we won't keep a clean sheet again. But I reckon if we go at them, I reckon we will score. We've got to have our we've got to have our goal scoring boots on tomorrow. I'm going to say 3-1.
Right. Okay. Good. I like it. I'm going to go for a random. I do like a random one, don't I? I'll do like an exciting one. Both teams haven't scored for so long. One team has no pressure on. The other one has a lot of pressure on. I do see some changes tomorrow. So I see goals for both teams. I'm going to go for a high scoring game. I'm going to go for the first major exciting game since the Project Restart has taken place. I'm going to go for a 4-3 victory to West Ham tomorrow.
Christ.
Listen, I don't know what to do. Oh, the main thing you need to take from that is I see a West Ham victory. I don't want to go for your typical 1-0 win. I don't want to go for your typical 2-1, 3-2, 3-1. So therefore, I'm just going to take it to the next level and go for 4-3. And West Ham are going to attack the wings, just like that comment came in and said it. What's this here?
Our issue, the fullbacks. Scott is absolutely right.
Well, I'm sorry, mate. I disagree with you. It's not just our issue. Our issue is the whole of the defence and has been for years, to be honest. That's all joking aside, we have got a big problem centrally and on the wings. Our defence is problematic. Yeah, we are the team. Hello, everyone. Just woke up from a big night in Brisbane as more restrictions are lifted. Hope we win tonight. Pam Flower, no excuses. We win tomorrow. Norwich is 23 miles up the road. From here, we have to win. Of course, we do. Yep. Words and pictures. Anton has done his homework as usual. Good prepared questions, Anton. Thank you, words, mate. Hope you're well. I'm trying to get some of there's so many. Listen, what we'll do is we'll try and get to the predictions. Here we are. 3-0 West Ham. Haller will score. people are just talking away to each other. I think they're forgetting to.
It's good. Let them
Here
talk.
Nigel,
Good evening, Nigel. I can't do a Greek accent. I'll wait for you to do that on your show on Monday night, mate.
Yeah, Gary Page, this is a taste of the last game of the season if we needed a win. Haller fitness ruled out for starting 11. Yarmolenko should come on later as an impact player. You know, this question whether or not that should happen, or also he should play properly in a position that would really make a difference rather than playing out on the wing.
If Masuaku scores, that keeps West Ham up. Still is going to shave his beard off. No, I won't. Wouldn't waste my effort on him, mate.
Well, no, I quite like that.
Can't wait to sell. I can't wait for the season to end and we sell Masuaku and stop singing that stupid bloody song. Honestly, I really can't.
I tell you what, mate, you should take that. You should take that bet. I'm trying to find that comment. Where is it?
What about Masuaku?
Yeah, and you shaving your beard. The reason why I was thinking you should take that bet is myself and Alf had a bet earlier in the season, and I predicted last season West Ham to win 3-0 away from home at St James's Park. West Ham went to St James's Park and won 3-0 away from home. And Alf couldn't physically eat his hat, so he took on some hot sauce challenge. So therefore, if Masuaku does score the goal that keeps us up,
you're all dreaming.
No. You know. You shave your beard.
No, I won't shave. I've already done all that. I've shaved it off my beard and my hair for charity. So I'm not going to do that again.
Listen, what's this one here? If we play like last game, it will be 3-1 for us.
There you go, Scott. Agreed. Yeah.
100%. Listen, thank you very much for joining us. Still, any other kind of comments or anything you want to say before we go?
No, not really. Let's just hope Moyes puts the right team out. Let's hope we get the right result. Let's hope we get a clean sheet. How about a clean sheet for a change? That'd be nice.
Yeah,
I'll shave my beard off if we get a clean sheet, which won't happen.
Listen, for anyone that's wondering, Nigel has officially signed a loan deal to Irons United. So we can't afford his salary, so we've opted to pay. Is it razor blades? Isn't it, to give him some razors to shave the beard? So yeah, Nigel should be on tomorrow. We haven't asked him yet, but
if you're all wondering why we're mentioning Nigel, real history of West Ham FC, for those who don't know, is Nigel, who now calls himself more than just Irons United or something like that.
Yeah. So listen, tune in tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow, and we'll have a bit of banter. And fingers crossed, West Ham can edge their way a little bit closer to some form of Premier League safety. Although this is West Ham, guys. I'm Anton. He's Still. Come on, you Irons.